Pregame.com.
Welcome back to pregame.tv. Saturday college basketball action. Yes, I know the Final Four is Saturday, but there's another college basketball game on Saturday. I got a question what they're thinking to put this up against.
Crazy.
Why not put it on Sunday?
No, how about Friday night?
Friday night, Sunday.
You played on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
You played Monday night, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Friday night, you got the whole audience.
Is anybody really going to watch this game?
Well, the only thing they have going for them, it's the best 2 out of 3, but it is at 8:30 a.m. So there are those degenerates like yourself that may have money on this game. And
8:30 here, of course.
Right, 11:30 East Coast time, right.
I got to ask you, Ken, first off, this being the CBI, and they have this goofy 2 out of 3 championship, and it's, you get one game at home, then you go on the road for the final 2. Are you a fan of this format? I really don't like it. I'm old school. Take it back and forth. But I know because of travel and money, and this is a small tournament. We're not gonna fly you 3 times if we go the distance.
Wherever those dollars come from, put them in the pocket.
I don't like the format. It's a situation where and this is kind of in reverse of the way this has happened. The road teams won the first 2 games of this one. Normally you get the home team holds court. Then you go, that must-win game for the home team in game 2, and you're paying a premium for it. Well, this time, they were free-rolling, on it, and the game, ended up being basically a rout for Fresno State.
Right, and I'll be the first one to tell you that I thought Siena was in a good spot because they came back from 8 down in Fresno, got the win, and then both teams have to travel back to Albany, New York, which is where Siena's home court is. Siena was 11-2 at home in their last 13. The 2 losses were both in overtime, so I'm thinking great spot. 1.5-point line went down to 1. Some sharp guys were on it, and I know that we won at your place, we're going to win at your place type deal. But I figured Fresno was so bummed that they blew that 8-point lead at home, let that one get away, knowing that they have to go now to Albany for 2 games, have to win 2 on the road, one of those insurmountable things to do in college basketball. But I think they embraced it, and boy, did they crush them early on, 43-24 at the half, but they nailed their threes, and they were in complete control. The game got crazy in the second half scoring-wise because Siena had a full packed house. I mean, there wasn't an open seat there, and they literally just started trading baskets like the last 12 minutes, and the game ended up 89-75.
Do you think Siena come in here, I like to use my phrase I use on the radio show all the time, a little bit too fat and sassy after stealing that game in Fresno and figure, coming back home for 2 at home, mentally you got to figure, this is our championship. Do you think that came into play here?
There you go. They probably were following the mold of their coach, Jimmy Pastos, who is fat and sassy, I mean, to say the least. But the guy is a good coach, and he'll have Siena ready. But I think that they thought they may be better than they were. And they've pulled some upset wins. There is no doubt when you look back. But they did have the home court, and that's one of the things in the CBI. You pay to play at home. So, I mean, getting into up until at least the final round, I know you pay a $36,000 premium as far to have home games, and I've seen that not only there, but in the CIT as well. You're paying for those home court games. Hey, whatever way you can make money. And I'll tell you this, too. The NIT, you'll see those top billing teams, and we know we're taping again on Thursday, but the final tonight is Minnesota and SMU. Yeah, they played, the number 1 seed like SMU plays all their games at home, but that's a nice arena there, Moody Coliseum. It's big enough to hold teams, to hold good crowds. When we were Long Beach State playing at Cal in the NIT, we were actually beating Cal, and then we were down 1 at the end of the game. And there was a blatant foul, and I was calling the game, and I mean, it was really blatant. I mean, literally, you heard the slaps on the wrist. But the only thing was, the next game for the NIT was either going to be at the Haas Pavilion, Cal, 13,500, or at the Little Pyramid in Long Beach, 5,000 max. And they only got that for ladies volleyball back in the day. All those 6-foot blondes who didn't want to miss that. But, I mean, so there it was.
You hung out for those
quite
a bit.
Oh, the NIT was all about money, though. I mean, like anything else, they want to make their money. So the bigger venues are going to get that deal, and Roxy even was calling the game for the Cal Bears. That was back in the early time when Roxy was calling the games, and he's been now there at Cal for 18 years. But I remember he came up when I was getting ready to do the postgame for Long Beach, and he smacked me on the shoulder and goes, welcome to the Pac-12, or it was Pac-10 at the time, welcome to the Pac-10, but you just got jobbed on the road. And I knew it, man. I was just irate because Long Beach State should have won the game. But again, when in doubt, those questionable calls, if you don't think there's politics on the road in college basketball, you're sadly mistaken. It still exists big time today.
Now, interesting with, having to pay in the different venues and everything about money except the players.
There you go.
They're not allowed to have a free hamburger.
Right. And I think eventually we're going to see that because these kids, let's face it, I know they're getting a scholarship, but they don't have time to have a part-time job, to take and I know we see all these bad incidents, a stolen laptop or this or that. You know what? If the kids get $500 a month, something to where they would maybe have at a part-time job where they can go to the movies, do something, that's all I'm looking for, especially for, when you look at the money that the NCAA reaps in. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely. Well, Ken, you know what? This is your free pick. Let's make it official.
All right. And I'm 29-13 in the college basketball, it was late February, March. Last year, 32-13, so trying to duplicate that record. This one I'm going to give out as a free play. If I were playing it as far as to sell it, I would sell it as a 3-star. And it's a total, and I haven't been the best on my college totals. I've been much better on the sides. But I like this game to go under, and I know the game sailed over last night, finishing at whatever it was, 164, 89-75. Again, the game got out of control. What happened was Fresno jumped, and I watched the entire game. Fresno jumped on Siena out of the gate, got it up to 22 points. It was 19 at the half as Siena hit a half-closing three-pointer from about 35 feet. But let's look at Siena's games prior to that. Now, the first game with Fresno State, final 61-57. But the games before that, totals, 110, 106, 121. There was a 136, 124, 129, 130. There was 142 on the road at Quinnipiac, a 72-70 game, the only game that went over that total, that is at 138. And I think this total goes down to probably 135 by tip-off on Saturday morning. Again, the Fresno State players, an 8:30 a.m. start locally, but let's say they've been there long enough in Albany. They're there for 4 or 5 days, so they're acclimated to the time adjustment, so no big deal. But still, an 11:30 start anyway. So both teams going to have to get up and get ready. Siena, what are they going to do? They're going to take away that three-pointer that Fresno buried them with early, and they're going to make sure that Fresno has to work. Even if Fresno has to dump it inside and get twos, they don't want to be taken out of the game early. The game will be packed, and this is no room for error now for Siena. They've got to clamp down. They've got to play good, solid defense. Fresno, too. They'll take care of the ball. Fresno, in 6 of their last 8, have gone under that total of 138. They had a 125, a 120, a 117, a 128, 135, and 118. They did have a game of 170 against New Mexico in the tournament, Mountain West Conference tournament, in a game that they got buried early and just started exchanging baskets. So, again, it's a championship game. You look at this game to be nip and tuck. Teams know the trophy's going to be handed out after this game, so they're going to take care of the possessions. And unless this game goes overtime or unless it's a foul shot fest where they call it too close, I think this game's going to finish right around 122 to 128 at max. And I think the game goes under the total of 138. And I put it up as a free play as well on the site of pregame already because I think this total definitely will start dropping. I know a couple sharp guys that I've talked to that are going to be on this under and pound it until it gets down to probably 135.
Yeah, great stuff. And that's something that a lot of people don't realize and look when you're watching the game. You've got to look at the ebb and flow of the game. There's a final score, but you've got to understand how the game played out.
Right.
And if you've got a tight game where the teams, they may be trading buckets, but they're working for all of the possessions. It's different on the tempo of the game.
Like the Minnesota-Florida State game the other night. Exactly.
Absolutely, yeah. Where this one here, as you said, one team got out early, and then you let up on defense, and then once you're out of the game, you're not playing. Neither team's playing defense, and you're just putting it up. So good stuff there. And being in the championship game, like you said, there is no tomorrow. At least Siena knew the other night when they were playing that they had a mulligan, so to speak. If things didn't work out, they'd get a second.
And the early start, Marco, because we know the difference of going to an LSU football game at 1:30 in the afternoon or at 8 o'clock at night. Yeah. Totally different, raucous crowd. You have the whole day to kind of gear up. The crowd's fired up. A lot of people off work. This is going to be, again, an 11:30 local start, a.m. time. Again, it's an early start. Now, the place will be packed. They are great. Siena's fans, and Fran McCaffrey really started that tradition of getting that place packed out, but Pastos has restored that now in Albany. Good fan base there for the Saints.
And even if both teams were East Coast teams, playing at 11:30 is still an odd start.
Right.
But when you throw in one of them being a West Coast team, definitely changes your body clock. So good stuff from Ken. We're going to come back. I'm going to take a look at free play from me. We're going to preview Final Four action, UConn, Florida. We're going to break that one down up next, pregame.tv.